Kia ora, tonight on City News. The Electoral Commission launches its campaign today to make sure all eligible New Zealanders are ready to take part in the upcoming general election. The world premiere of the Rotorua dance company's latest production, Mana Wahine, is on this Friday at the Civic Theatre, and the boys' high first 15 go down 17-37 to their Hamilton counterparts in the Super 8 competition. But first, Elder Abuse Awareness Week has just finished, with service groups around the country raising awareness in our communities of elder abuse. Age Concern Coordinator Hilary Turler says it's a growing problem and is usually caused by family members.
World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is held every year on the 15th of June, and that is to bring awareness to the plight of older people. And sadly, we were hoping that our figures would go down, but they're increasing to where just this year alone we've had figures above what has been the average monthly figure, and the incidents are becoming more complex. So it's just to spotlight to our community what elder abuse is all about.
Local MP Todd McLeay says the government's investment of $170,000 to expand elder abuse services in Rotorua and Kawerau is meant to help with the growing issue of elder abuse.
It's been a long time coming. 4 or 5 years ago, a number of the organisations locally that work with elders and those who are vulnerable or perhaps can be abused came to me, and there wasn't as much funding available to them in Rotorua as they would want. Some of this was about because the government gives funding to the bodies nationally and then it doesn't quite filter down to us, but $170,000 allocated for Rotorua, Kawerau and Wairoa. I would expect the majority of that probably will come to Rotorua. It's contestable, but it's really to make sure that we have the services available in our community that we need for elderly. And elder abuse can mean many different things. There is far too much of it. This just means that there's important resource available to some really good local community organisations that care for the elderly, that work with them, that will help raise profile. I'm happy to have played a part to deliver this money for our seniors.
We have more from MP Todd McLeay later in the show. One of 2014's biggest mail-outs starts today as the Electoral Commission launches its campaign to make sure all eligible New Zealanders are ready to take part in the 2014 general election on September the 20th. Over 3 million enrolled voters have been sent an enrolment update pack this week, an opportunity for people to check their enrolment details. People who do not receive their enrolment update pack by Friday will need to complete a new enrolment form. Information on that can be found at elections.org.nz. The world premiere of the Rotorua dance company's latest production, Mana Wahine, is on this Friday at the Civic Theatre. The company is named after Lake Rotorua, where co-founder and head choreographer Ty Royal grew up.
We have a cast of 5 females. I think everyone's quite different. Collaboration between sort of energy and training and circumstances and history. We had to write a bit about the Mana Wahine in our lives, and I think that really helped draw a lot of really rich inspiration and material for the work. Just thinking about my grandmothers and their life experience and just the things that they had to deal with in their lives, with husbands passing away and raising small children. One of my grandmothers has passed away, and she was a really strong influence in my life. When I was a young child, she took care of me and my brother quite a lot. It's just really great to be able to kind of conjure back those memories of her and just celebrate the time that I did have with her now that she is gone.
Promoter Rachel Penman says the production is a powerful display of women's strength performed by great local talent.
Ty and Tane and Malia did handpick the dancers. It really was about the energy and strength that they could bring to the process that Māori? We worked with. They are of Māori descendant, yes, but it wasn't a necessity. One of our understudies, Ula, is from a Pacific Island descendant. It was more about the essence of those values and where that comes through, and the strength in their dance that could actually portray what we wanted there.
And around 200 people have gathered at Council tonight to acknowledge some of Rotorua voluntary groups and organisations entered for this year's Trustpower Rotorua District Community Awards. The awards recognise and reward voluntary groups for the outstanding contribution they make to the local community and are run in partnership with the Rotorua District Council. We'll have full coverage of tonight's proceedings as well as comment from some of the winners on the show tomorrow night. In sport tonight, Rotorua Boys High First 15 have gone down to their Hamilton counterparts 37-17 in their Super 8 rugby clash on Saturday. The Super 8 competition is between Gisborne, Napier and Hastings, New Plymouth, Palmerston North and Tauranga, as well as Hamilton and Rotorua Boys First 15 teams, and was started in 1997. Saturday's game was round 3 of the competition, with Rotorua hosting Hastings this Saturday. In Baywide Rugby, Whakarewarewa secured an away win at Tapuna's Matamatanga Park, while Rotowiti were held to a 5-all draw in Orangatawa. In the Development Division, Whakarewarewa and Rotowiti both suffered defeats. To your weather update now. Tonight, mainly fine with light winds and an overnight low of 2. For tomorrow, Tuesday, becoming cloudy with late drizzle, northeast develops, a high of 13 and a low of 8. And the outlook for Wednesday, drizzle turning to rain, northeast strengthening, a high of 14 and a low of 12. In the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua, variable 5 knots tending northeast to 10 knots in the afternoon and then rising to 15 knots at night, with waves less than half a metre, mostly cloudy with poor visibility in drizzle, mainly in the morning and at night. Remember, for program listings or to watch City News again, visit our website tvrotorua.co.nz, and you can see updates on our TV Rotorua Facebook page. Still to come in the show tonight, we catch up with youth worker Mariah Pumana and find out about some exciting developments happening in Fordlands. And Alan Solomon catches up with Rotorua MP Todd McClay about a new initiative he's announced to affect our local community.
Kia ora, well, I'm standing out the Waiariki Pūrea Trust with Mariah Pōmana, who's a social worker and a youth worker here. Mariah, lately we've seen in the news that legal highs have been banned and they were particularly affecting our young people. What's the result been of that ban in your eyes?
I think it's been successful. I'm really happy it's been banned. I know there's been a lot of criticism to keep legal highs in our stores and available to people, but I'm just totally against it. And the effects of the banning so far is that I've seen a huge reduction in young people being taking synthetic highs and being off their face pretty much on it, and it's really hard to get now, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, you're one happy lady.
Yeah,
you're on a natural high now.
I'm really happy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What are some of the effects that you were seeing with youth when they were on that stuff?
They were just taking it every day, up to 3 times a day. They were starting to go into town and ask people for money. You'd have big groups of young people hanging around the 3 shops and asking adults to purchase it for them. So it was starting to create a really negative culture. And so because I'm a youth worker, I'd try many different strategies to help them to see what it was doing, but it was just, they'd say that it was legal, and I was like, right, if I can't do it that way, I'm going to go the law way. So that's what we did. We asked for change. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so who did you get support from?
We got support from Rotorua families. We got support from Todd McClay. He came to our march. Annette Syke, she was really supportive. She actually came down and met with me and gave me a few tips. Te Waiariki Pūrea, all the staff there, we are behind me 100%, and even young people themselves. So yeah,
wonderful.
There's a lot of people. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Also, you work with the Fordlands community quite closely, and you're the free parking coordinator here. Can you tell me a bit about that?
So, free parking is a program designed to re-engage young people back into sport and recreation, because what they found is around about the age of 12 to 16, a lot of children and young people drop out of sport. And so it's designed to re-engage young people back into sport in their own neighbourhood. So all they have to do is walk down the road and play a sport. We've managed to re-engage a few young people predominantly back into school sports teams, because they're dropping out around about year 8.
And why do you promote sport for youth?
Because a lot of young people are naturally good at sport. It brings them a lot of benefits, like it makes them physically strong and fit, it gives them confidence, it reconnects them to other young people and to positive adults. That's why that's what free parking's about. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gee, you're a busy lady.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Tell me a bit about the Fordlands community now and the work you're doing there.
The Fordlands community work that I'm doing is based around the beginnings of free parking when they built their new skate park. That was opened in 2012, and we had a massive opening. And from there I've done weekly activities for the young people. And then from there, what we've been trying to do is build the community so that they deliver those programs themselves in their own community. And to do that, we've had to work really closely with the community group called Te Tuara Tōtara, or Fordlands. And sadly, the chairperson passed away not that long ago, Māni Flevel, and it's been a huge loss to the community, and so we're in a time of rebuilding. At the same time, there's been an outcry about the rundown houses there and the rubbish that's being dumped there. A lot of people are really disappointed with what we say slum landlords, and I'm going to say they are.
Say it, girls, say it. No one's holding your tongue, go for it.
They are slum landlords, and it's just a complete mess. So we've been working with council, and they heard the community asking for help to fix up those houses, and so we organised 2 community meetings. And the outcome of one of the community meetings was the council bought 48 Bellingham, is it 48? No. Anyway, they brought one of the houses down Bellingham Crescent, burnt it down, and now they've offered for that land to be used by Fordlands. So we're looking at building a marakai. We had one meeting on the whenua, and there was about 20 people. And the next meeting, it poured with rain because we're going to have it on the land again. So that's got to be reorganised. So we're aiming for the 5th of July to have another Bellingham Crescent Marakai Hui. And then the second part is Meadowbank Crescent neighbours coming together to create billboards to promote Meadowbank Crescent and Fordlands as a safer community. So beautiful. That's what we're doing down there, and our goal is to be like a whānau centre similar to the Highbury whānau centre in Palmerston North. That's one of our visions, to have a family centre and a recreation centre.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, all the very best with that, and we'd love to watch your progress. At the iwi, you heard it from Mariah, they're looking for people to get in behind Fordlands community. No more slum landlords, and if you are a slum landlord, then Mariah's coming for you. So we want to see all of our communities healthy and prospering. So thank you so much for your time, Mariah. Ngā mihi nui kia koe.
Kia ora.
Now Now we're just out here at Nongi Primary School. We had a few of the kids just running past in bare feet. I don't know why they're in bare feet and on cold days like this, but obviously you're here for a visit, so what's the purpose behind that?
Yes, so just visited Nongataha Primary School. I visit schools frequently over the last 6 years as a local MP. I visit them a lot to talk to principals and teachers to see what's going on in communities. I can say Nongataha Primary School is doing an exceptional job. I'm actually yet to meet a school in my electorate. 130 schools in my electorate, yet to meet a school that's not doing a good job. So it's my way of learning more about communities and showing that I continue to support them. But after this, I'm popping over the road for a afternoon coffee with local seniors. Over the last 6 years, almost every month, I've invited seniors to come and join with me, their MP, to have a coffee, talk about local issues, and for them to talk about the things that are important to them. So we continue to do that. There'll be 30 or 40 people turning up here in Nongataha today. And it's just about being available and local. If you're a local MP, it's my job to be available to the community, and in that way I get to do my job better here and in Wellington if I know what people think.
Now the issues that the older generation face compared to the younger generation, what sort of things are you guys talking about?
Well, look, interestingly, it's pretty much widely what's happening in Rotorua. They're very interested in education, what's happening for young people, you know. Certainly around youth issues and employment issues. Lots of interest in law and order. And you'll know, of course, we just opened a new police station in Rotorua, $18.5 million investment. But the most important thing is 4 years in a row, reported crime in Rotorua has fallen. And in the last year, it fell by 11.2%, second largest decrease anywhere in New Zealand. That just means fewer victims here, fewer crimes being committed, and so police are doing a really good job. So the things that most people in Rotorua will be interested in, the lakes, the environment, health, education, these come up often, but it's just a chance to sit down and talk a bit about exactly what it means to be an MP and the types of things local people want me to do on their behalf as their Member of Parliament.
That's good stuff, Todd. Now, just before we go, final question. The synthetic drugs obviously got banned just recently, but now out in the market there's new synthetic drugs that are coming in a powder form. If those sorts of things start causing more havoc in the community, is the government going to do something about those as well?
Well, so when you ban something, you can't ban it twice. So there isn't any evidence that legally products that are psychoactive substances are being sold. There's a law in place that says they can't be, and there are significant penalties. We did say at the time, though, that these problems wouldn't go away. Just as there are illicit drug problems in New Zealand, marijuana, hashish, p-methamphetamine, these so-called legal highs, well, they're now illegal highs, but psychoactive substances are very easy to manufacture and very cheap to manufacture. So that we've passed a law doesn't mean that the problem has gone completely. But we are seeing communities pulling together. There are, fewer of these products available. There has been some media speculation of late that they're back on the shelves. Actually, what's being sold, I'm told, isn't a psychoactive substance. It has no psychoactive ability, so people are buying it, then coming back to the shop and saying, this stuff doesn't work, give my $20 back. Well, actually, there may be some issues around the claim of a product there, but it is illegal to sell a psychoactive substance in New Zealand without a licence, and there are no licences available at this time. So anybody that has any knowledge of somebody selling these products should call the 0800 number, the poisons hotline, or tell the police, because the police continue to arrest people and prosecute them for breaking the law around drugs.
That's good news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good stuff, Todd. Appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Hi Todd, good to have you on City News today. Now we've got a lot of things we want to talk about with you today, but first off, $170,000 being allocated to outdoor abuse here in Rotorua, so that's very good news for the city.
Yeah, it is good news. It's been a long time coming. 4 or 5 years ago, a number of the organisations locally that work with elders and those who are vulnerable or perhaps can be abused came to me, and there wasn't as much funding available to them in Rotorua as they would want. Some of this was about because the government gives funding to the bodies nationally, and then it doesn't quite filter down to us, but $170,000 allocated for Rotorua, Kawerau and Wairoa. I would expect the majority of that probably will come to Rotorua. It's contestable, but it's really to make sure that we have the services available in our community that we need for elderly. And, elder abuse can mean many different things. There is far too much of it. This just means that there's, important resource available to some really good local community organisations that care for the elderly, that work with them, that will help raise profile. I'm happy to have played a part to deliver this money for our seniors.
Now, we catch up with Hilary from Age Concern fairly regularly, and it's quite disturbing what she talks about with the abuse, especially from family members. What's your take on that?
Well, look, elder abuse has a number of different definitions. It can be quite wide, and it can be as much as, grabbing, senior mum or dad's credit card and using it to actual physical abuse. So there is no place for it in New Zealand, certainly not in our community. Sadly, it does happen, and I guess far, far too much. Age Concern and others do a really, really good job, a very important job locally. But it's all of us, it's all of our responsibility to, think of and care for our seniors in this community. This $170,000 will go a long way to helping, a number of great organisations do much more.
Now, just changing gears a little bit, but keeping on the funding thing, $32,000 being allocated for Rotorua again for youth projects. Another good step for the city as well.
It is good. Last year there was an announcement around funding. Kawerau got some, Rotorua didn't, only because no applications came in from Rotorua. So I set a challenge to our council and others to apply for the funding. From memory, this is annual funding available to help youth groups and youth initiatives, primarily around councils in New Zealand, to do a lot more. So great to have $32,000. I know that the proposals that have been agreed will do a lot for Rotorua. We have some exceptional young people here who do a whole lot with a small amount of resource, but partnering with council and other organisations, $32,000 to spend just on young people in Rotorua, some of whom are our future leaders. I think it's a really important investment.
Now, forestry is obviously one of the big industries here in our city. Now, there's a review coming up about the industry that's open to the public. Can you share a bit on that? Well,
there's two things going on. The first is around safety in the forestry sector, and later this week there will be the start of what is public consultation throughout New Zealand. So the sector themselves have joined with others to decide to look at forestry safety, what more needs to be done to make sure this industry is as safe as it can be, and there will be public hearings in Rotorua. I've just been given permission to travel back from Wellington to speak at the opening of it. It's something that's very important to me and of importance to the wider Rotorua area. So that's what's happening there now. The other thing that's really interesting is the strength of forestry in and around Rotorua and the Bay of Plenty. So statistics out at the end of last week are encouraging. So employment levels are up, increased 4.1% on a year ago. Unemployment was down about 2.3%. So that's more jobs and fewer people unemployed. And predominantly, this is on the back of a very strong forestry sector. Early evidence that it may be going through some of the strongest periods of growth over the last 20 years. Ironically, David Cunliffe comes to Rotorua and says forestry is in doom and gloom and that Labour will fix it. Actually, this industry has been growing over the last 3 or 4 years. There are many more people employed in forestry now today than there were 5 or 6 years ago in processing and directly in forestry. But where the rubber really hits the road is those involved in transportation and those involved in engineering are very, very busy. So our local economy is growing, unemployment is falling, jobs are going up, and forestry is at the heart of this. I actually think that this is something that is really good news for Rotorua. I've worked closely with the sector over the last 3 or 4 years and remain committed in the long haul to making sure that forestry is vibrant and offering opportunities to Rotorua people.
That was Rotorua MP Todd McClay talking with Alan Solomon. If you have any news that you'd like to share with us, give us a call on 07 3488 984, or you can email news@tvrotorua.co.nz. And to watch the show again, go to tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for watching tonight. From all the team at City News, Pomaria.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.